Hello, this is Anthony Parker, and I would like to talk to you about a battery-powered helicopter that I picked up from Toys R Us. As you can see, on this scale, it is very small, which in person, it kind of is. And it's got a lot of art and detail on it. And as you can see, it's got axes around here, which we'll get to that later. But right now, I'm just going over the details. On the bottom, you have your serial numbers, your standard radio signal, which is channel B, which is through infrared, as we'll get to that here in a minute. You got your charging port, which is very not confusing, but is very weird. And you have your IR antenna right there. Now, your propellers are made of a hard plastic, which this thing is kind of hard to stable in the air, to get stable. As long as you're moving, it's pretty fun, but it's hard to get the helicopter to set still while the blades spin. Usually everything tries to turn at once until you get it calibrated. And that is one of the hardest things to do with this, is to calibrate this. And the sad part is you have to calibrate it almost every time you take off in flight to get it right. Now, I do not recommend holding this in your hand and trying to, let's say, lift off from your hand, because it's not setting level. And to calibrate this perfectly, you have to have it setting on something closely level. Don't have to be perfect, but it's got to be kind of level. As you can see, this thing right here, as this sets, that has to be level, and it cannot stick like that. It cannot. It's got to be setting level. Anyways, to get on with the video here, you have your axis here, and this is to protect the propellers from being damaged, which, you know, in my opinion, it does help and keeps you from flying and, you know, to the side of the garage or, you know, into the gutter, and it keeps it from damaging the propellers, which, you know, which is what makes this thing fly. And as you can see, there is a little tiny propeller on the end right here, which spins, as you can see right here. And as I can spin it, it's kind of flimsy, but believe it or not, this little thing right here has a tiny motor in it. And if you were to crash this thing and the propeller was to keep running, I've got hair in here, pieces of string, carpet, and everything. But it is detachable right here, and they do give you extra ones with it. Now, you get about, I'd say on a full charge, you get about 7 to 8 minutes enjoyment off of this. And I wouldn't really recommend it for younger children, because it's easy to get it in flight, but it's a lot harder to control it and, you know, fly it around the house or outside, or, you know, whatever you plan on doing with it. They had other models. Now, I did buy this at Toys R Us. I paid $31 for it. They had some better models there, but this is your standard model. I, you know, did some Googling and looked up online. This is your standard model, $31, which I probably could have got it cheaper on there, but I was at Toys R Us and I wanted one, so I felt like a child and I was going to buy it. But yes, now, here's the first thing we're going to get to, is the charging port right here. It is not USB. It is just a 2-prong charging port. Now I'm going to show you the charging. Here it is. It's weird, ain't it? Yeah, I was weirded out too the first time I seen it. This is your standard remote, which this is your charger right here. And this thing requires 6 AA batteries, which you had to have a screwdriver to open on the back. And it requires alkaline, because if you buy super heavy duty or you buy anything that ain't an alkaline battery, you're going to drain this in probably less than 5 minutes. Believe me, I tried. I had to get alkaline. I don't know why, but you got to have alkaline. Anyways, this right here is your acceleration. That will make your propellers spin even quicker, or you can slow it down. But as you can see, you have to hold it. It's spring loaded. Now, in my opinion, this really shouldn't have been spring loaded. It should, whenever I let go of it, stay where it's at, so I can, you know, have a steady flight in air while using my other finger to control this. But we'll get into that here in a minute. As you can see, there's 3 different radio signals on it, A, B, and C, which are infrared, as I talked about earlier. There's an on and off switch. Basically, this helicopter, out of a 1 out of 10, I played with a few of them, and I give it a strong 7. It's not too bad. It's hard to calibrate, in which there's one thing I want to recommend is reading the instructions on this to figure out the buttons, because this is your acceleration to get it up in the air, as I'm doing right here. This will spin your rear end to your left and to your right. Now, if you can get this thing off the ground, which is very simple, but to get it to set steadily in the air, or to even float up and down just a bit, is the hardest thing. Not the hardest thing to do, but it takes some patience and some time. That's why I really ain't saying for a young child, or for really anybody under a teenager, because it takes some time to get used to, and it's not like you can just pick it up and fly it. Anybody can. Now, there is 2 buttons right here, which is your left. You got a left and you got a right. Now, as you're trying to stable yourself in air as it takes off, and as you hold your throttle, probably just about a quarter of ways, it should be at face level, which it usually is, around towards your face. That's usually face level, around about 5 feet. Now, you have to use these to calibrate your helicopter. And basically, what I'm saying is I'll show you. Let me set the remote down. Now, we got this baby again. Anyways, your propellers will spin in air, which keeps you floating in air, right? Which this cage is detachable, by the way. But anyways, I don't want to detach it because I don't want to take stuff apart. You know, these are small parts. I don't want to break them. That's why they got this on here, so I'll leave it alone. Anyways, these propellers will spin, and eventually the helicopter will spin too. It'll all spin at once as it's lifting up. Well, eventually it'll get out of control and it'll come down and it'll crash. Well, what them two buttons as I'm talking about on the remote right here at the bottom, these two little press pads right here I'm pointing at. They look like little pads. One says left and right, and this is the instructions over here. And it actually tells you the instructions as you can see. Hold on. Let's see here. Yeah, it tells you the instructions right there, and it tells you it's basically a spin control adjustment, because this thing will spin out of control, and that's what I was talking about with the spinning. But other than that, this thing it's kind of hard to figure out, but by the time you figure it out, you'll charge this thing a couple times. It takes about 20 minutes to charge, and you get about 6-7 minutes to play out of it. But after you get the hang of it, it's pretty fun. It just takes a little bit of time. But anyways, if there's anything else you all would like to know about this, just let me know. And if you all have any good insight on this, let me know. I know it comes with spare pieces. You can pick it up at Toys R Us. They got it for about $31. It is fun, but I do probably not recommend this for children. Maybe a teenager to an adult. Adults will probably have more fun with it. And the next one I buy will be a bigger model on a bigger scale, which I ain't going to buy a gas-powered one because they're way too expensive. But they got a nice one for about $100 that is built way better. That is, you know, it's stable. It's very stable when it flies. And basically, you can make it set in front of your nose and just sit there and spin for a good about 5 minutes. But anyways, if you would like to leave me a message, you can just leave it under my blog, and I would appreciate it. But for RC Helicopters and for me, I'm out. Till next time.